Off PUP, ready to roll. What do you guys got? Doing good, doing good. No, Strick and McKenzie, CJ, Harrison, Mike, that whole crew, they've been, it's been not an ideal time to go through this beginning of training camp. They've been awesome though, and so I don't have to run anywhere anytime soon, so be all right.
Sure, we've talked a lot about there's been a lot of talk about all the different weapons, especially when you add Jackson to the mix, add the new running backs. Just what have you seen in terms of the overall firepower of this offense?
I think right now in training camp mode, we see everybody competing, and the receivers are looking to push each other. We got a bunch of different guys that are looking to push and compete, and not just the guys you named, like guys like Cody Thompson, guys like D. Eskridge. They're all making each other work and work harder, and then the DBs that are out there competing against us. So I see a group of guys on offense and on defense that are coming together right now with the right attitude and the right work ethic as we're in this time of year in training camp.
What have you thought of the running game, I guess, last couple of days without having Kenneth and Zach out there?
Yeah, I think, with DJ and Kenny, those guys stepping right in there, and Bryant, and then Roderick coming in today, or yesterday actually, done a nice job. Chad Morton does a great job with those guys. They really set the tone for our offense and our style of play, doing a great job of finishing runs, getting the team going, and then in the pass game, in the pass protection, in the routes, just all the guys, running at the running back spots. They might bring a little different flavor as far as the style of their play, but they're all going to play hard. They're all going to play with great effort and enthusiasm, and like I said, it sets the tone for our offense.
Feel about where Jarek Young is at now compared to this time a year ago? D2 player coming to the NFL now for season 2.
Yeah, I still stick with him, and the hard work pays off. All he's done is come out here every day and work hard, and you see him develop more and more. He set the tone last year by being great on special teams and was able to get on the field that way, and then we were able to utilize him at wide receiver in certain scenarios there. And he's come out here and he's refined his route running, and he's just looking to improve every day. So I've been really impressed with his work ethic and what he's been able to show as far as improvement goes throughout his early career right now.
Offensive line, what have you seen? And then obviously the battle at center. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think Evan and Olu have done a great job of competing right there, and Joey Hunt of pushing the group. Still looking for that player that's going to replace Austin Blythe and that elite level of communication that he provided for our offense. And so I think all three of those guys have done a really good job in terms of early in training camp. How are you going to figure out, what direction that's heading? I don't know. We still got a little bit of time, but their communication, our ability to get into the right calls up front, all the stuff that we're looking for in the center position. And now we've got a couple days of pads under our belt, so we can start to get more of a true evaluation as we get through training camp right now.
Is there a timeline you have to pick at that center position?
I don't see an exact timeline right now. We have in-house thought process behind it, but we'll keep those guys competing and looking for those guys to bring out the very best in themselves.
At tight end, you don't have like the one guy who had the big season last year, but collectively they were among the most productive in the NFL. Just, what do you like about that group, and maybe about having a bunch of guys doing it instead of just one guy you're leaning on?
Yeah, those guys have really come together, and even though, again, especially this time of year, those guys are competing for the thought of playing time and how their role will look on the team. But I think throughout the course of last year, Pat McPherson did such a great job of keeping those guys as a cohesive unit. And so whether it was Will or Noah or Colby, or when Tyler Mabry steps in and gets his opportunity, he makes the most of it. But I think as an offense, having those glue guys at the tight end position that are like Swiss Army knives that can do a little bit of everything, line up in multiple ways, get us in and out of different personnels and formations, because each one of those guys, just like the running backs, they're all different styles of player maybe, but they all bring their own flavor to each play, and whether it's a route or whether it's a block, they all do an excellent job.
Shane, where would you like to see your offense get better this year? What is there one area that you want to see improve?
Yeah, I think just overall, with now being together for multiple years in this, I think just that in-game communication, we can always keep improving there, making sure we're getting to premier looks more and more now that guys have rep plays over and over again, and really have an understanding for where all the ins and outs of each play, and Gino's done a great job of taking that step here, especially this camp, being on the same page, and you're not always going to get there day one of training camp, but when you have that background over a couple year period now that he has, just being on the same page on in terms of with the receivers, nuances of the routes, the depths, the feel versus different coverage structures. So just keep progressing with that communication and staying together, staying tight as an offensive group.
talked about, Gino going into this year with the whole year of experience under his belt, helping him. What about for you as a play caller? Just you have that much more experience with him, what he likes, what he does well in games. How much will that help you?
I think it helps, and I think going back to the communication piece and, a chance to be around each other now for going into our third year, just having that clear, open, and honest communication on what happens on each individual play and, really pushing him to strive to get those, whether it's 65 or 70 snaps in a game, the understanding of the importance and how hard that is at the quarterback position to be locked in individually, on each play that many times in a row, and the mental toughness that it takes. And he does such a great job with working at it and striving to be the best version of himself that he can be. Like I said, that, being around each other, being able to openly communicate and get things right. And at the end of the day, what gives us the best chance to win. And that's what Gino's main goal is.
How ready does Jackson Smith to go against NFL players?
Yeah, he looks pretty ready. Yeah, he's ready to go. No, he's he has done a great job just being so natural on his first time in OTAs. You get a chance to see him really having an understanding. And like every rookie, he's got a lot of work to do, which he's doing, learning from the vets. The veterans have done a great job, and all the receivers talked about that was that culture that Sanjay Lal's developed in that receiver room with DK and Tyler leading the way, so a guy like Jackson can come in the building and those guys, wrap their arms around him and try to get the best out of him, help him to keep being the best player he can be, whether it's stuff in the playbook, nuances out in the individual period. So I think he's done a great job, and like I said, there's a lot of guys in that receiver room that are continuing to push him as well, but he's walked in, he knows, the basics of what to do, and now he's just going to keep honing in on his craft to be the best player that he can be.
Just handling competition this year, wanting to try and fit into that 3 or 4 as well.
Yeah, I think D. Eskridge has done a great job of stacking days. He's had multiple days in a row of making the right play, making big plays down the field. And again, it's another guy who's had some unfortunate circumstances due to injuries. And now he's been, consistently out there during training camp. And, the times when D's consistently out there and had a chance to showcase his skill set, he's maximized it. So really pleased with where he's at. And like we keep talking about the competition element of training camp, all those guys have been pushing each other to the highest level.
Yes, sir!
Yeah.
You've got to see Matt Landers and Jake Bobo now since OTAs. Two totally different style receivers. But what's been your impression of the way that they've handled acclimating to the NFL and the offense?
Yeah, they, again, like all the different positions, different styles of players, different, body types or skill sets. The thing I think that these guys are starting to feel comfortable with is in an offensive system, we have plays, and then when they have the true understanding of what those plays are, then they know how to maximize their ability. And I've seen a guy in both of those guys, in the younger receivers especially, where they've taken the coaching from OTAs, and then rather than going back a few steps coming into training camp, they've picked up right where they've left off, and they're able to display their individual talents. Especially you get some one-on-one periods going now, get a chance to see those guys work, and as the reps build for those young guys, when we get into preseason games, to me those are the times where you really get a chance to see what they have to look forward to.
What was Charbonnet showing, and what's the most important thing he's missing?
With Charbonnet, he's shown right now. He walked in the door as a professional. The way he handled himself, the way he approached every day in the meetings, his work ethic. He fit right in. You talk about DJ Dallas and that running back room with the standard that they have. We talk about guys from the past, whether it's Chris Carson, Marshawn Lynch, just that effort, enthusiasm, toughness that they bring to the table. Well, we're trying to develop all the young players to figure out what's their style of play, but still matching the effort of those guys that have come before them and been such great players here. And so I think with Zach, he's taken to the coaching. He's brought his style to play. He's big, tough, and physical. I can't wait to get a chance to see him when it's full contact and guys have to tackle him to the ground, because he has shown that power and explosiveness in his running style.
What's the most important thing he's missing right now?
I think for him, it's just going to be about accumulating reps in the pass game, stuff that he's asked to do. I think he's done a great job. Again, just like, similar to what Ken was like last year, where, things that they were asked to do was great for the systems that they were in, but we're a little bit different here. And so just that learning curve and figuring it out. But just like Ken did, they're smart, they're tough, they're reliable, they're going to get it right. Just needs to start accumulating those reps when that time comes.
You mentioned to us you think Gino's going to be 10 times better than he was last year, in part because the reins are loosened on him this year. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think part of that comes back to just the the communication and the comfort level that Gino has with our offense, with our offensive coaches, with the receivers, and the work that he's put in. Like, the one thing I've noticed with Gino is since the first day I've been around him till today, like, his work ethic has never wavered. Whether he was in the backup role, the way he approached the game like he was going to be the starter, whether he's in a competition to be the starter last season going into training camp, or now when we look at the OTAs and then this training camp, Gino's shown up in midseason shape physically, ready to go, and now it's about accumulating those reps. And so, in my opinion, he's put himself in position to have long-term success by the way he's approached it and the way that he's worked.
Anything else?
All right, thank you.